Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 7. So today we're looking at relative frequencies and frequencies, putting them into a table. So example 1. Here's that data set that we looked at in our last lesson with the 10 Canadian students who have recently taken the Census at School survey. We need to make a relative frequency table of the preferred communication methods of the data set, and then use that to make a relative frequency bar graph. So I've set up some of our chart, but we need to add a few pieces. So we have our preferred communication methods. We also should add a total. I'm going to get the raw, just straight up frequency. And that will help me find the relative frequency. Relative frequencies are expressed as decimals or percentages. We're going to use decimals. And let's separate the total a little bit as well. So, looks like in person, we had 3 preferring in-person communication. We had 1 preferring communication by Facebook. Cell phone, we had 2 preferring that, and then 4 preferring text messaging, for a total of 10 people. So now to get the relative frequency, you just take each of those raw frequency numbers and divide by your total. So 3 divided by 10 is 0.3. 1 divided by 10 is 0.1. 2 divided by 10 is 0.2. And text messaging, 4 divided by 10 is 0.4. Now your relative frequencies also need to add up to a total of 1.00, so 100%. Again, 0.3 could also be 30%, 0.1 could be 10%, 0.2, 20%, and 0.4, 40%. So now we need to make a relative frequency bar graph to express our data, to visualize it. So our y-axis is going to cover the relative frequencies. The x-axis is going to describe the preferred communication methods. So let's label those first, then we'll set our scales. And again, you have to label both axes so that your reader knows what it is you're trying to say. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. And I'm just going to decide that we're using 3 boxes. You can use more or fewer. So in person had a relative frequency of 0.3. This will be actually probably better if once I use my straight edge. Facebook. I'm not leaving spaces this time, because you have the option for a lot of those yourself. So Facebook had a frequency of 10% or 0.1. Sorry, relative frequency. It had a frequency of 1. It just showed up once. Frequency is how often, how many times. Relative frequency is what percentage or what decimal proportion of the time. Cell phone. we had 2, preferring that. And finally, text message. We had 0.4, or 40% of the population, preferring that as their method of communication. Again, because this is categorical data, I didn't have to put these 4 categories in this particular order, so it does not make any sense to say that this is skewed or symmetric, because I can rearrange this any way that I want.